What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be going over a quick little market watch specifically for Min Rarity. I plan to upload market watch videos separated by Min Rarity and then alts and maybe a little bit of collecting. But for now, today just going to be going over Min Rarity. So if you're looking to be a competitive player or just have some decks built as a casual player, here are the cards I think you should get. They're going to be in order of color. So if you want to skip around, you'll see different colors. The first card today I think you should be getting is this blue Boa Hancock. Now, this is actually the lowest I've seen it in the past month. It seems like a bunch got listed recently. This guy's 23, so he's kind of gatekeeping the price a little bit. But just yesterday, it was selling for well over $10. This morning, it's December 9th for me right now. This morning, I saw it at $12. And so a bunch got listed just out of nowhere. Like, genuinely, if the lowest price was $12, at least a good, 4, 5, 9 plus 18. So people just, I guess, probably didn't realize they had a lot of these or didn't realize this card went up a significant amount. But I'd say this is probably one of the last times you'll be able to get this card below $10 until it gets reprinted. If it gets reprinted, this is one of the few SRs that didn't get reprinted in PRB 2. This card came out around PRB 1 in the Blue Doflamingo starter deck. Now, something that if you're a newer player, you might not know, these starter deck 17 with Doflamingo, they all came with this guy. They all came with a PRB pack inside of them. So they're highly sought after, even today by collectors and the like. It's a pretty expensive starter deck. If we just look at it, uh, you get it for about $40, $55, which has kind of always been that since when it first came out. It had some of the most meta cards in the game that are brand new. What also makes this particular is that this SR comes as a 2 of in the starter deck, so you need to get multiple to get a play set. And this card has only ever been that starter deck in the illustration box, which will be the highest rarity version of this card. So this SR is about a year old. I'd say it's probably printed less than a normal SR, considering it comes from a starter deck. And the starter deck wasn't exactly printed a lot. I myself live next to a Bandai store and can tell you the starter deck hasn't been stocked at an official Bandai store in a very long time. So now is the time to get this card. And if you have some of these, selling it at $12 is not a bad idea either. Going up next is Perfume Femur. Now, I just hit the refresh right before I started recording. I've never seen this card be over $1. It's slowly starting to climb. I would be careful with some of these rares. Usually when you buy a booster box, you should expect about 2 rares. Sorry if I'm talking fast, but I'm going to try to speed through these. But um, this OP7, it's kind of becoming an older set now. It's a bit over a year old. And in some of these decks, you're going to need at least 2 or 4 of these, specifically Jinbei and Boa Hancock. This is a really good card. It's a must-have in those decks. It makes your leader unblockable. Right now, the meta is very blocker heavy with decks like Ace and Emu. This card almost becomes like a win condition. Pretty decent trigger. It's rare to see a trigger on cards like these, considering it's not a yellow card. I mean, this card is a brick and it just doesn't need a trigger, but it having this trigger is not bad at all. One of the other really busted things about this card is it's 2 costs, but it gives whatever you're giving unblockable plus 2k power, so it's pretty much free. If you think about it, in Jinbei, you rest 2 Dawn plus 2k leader ability plus 2 rested Dawn. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So in general, I would start getting this card now. If you're going to be someone who waits till OP14 comes out or after it comes out to get this card, you might be paying like maybe $2 or something. Recently, we're going to talk about later in the video, but Dead Man's Game is a rare event that I saw jump up to around like $4 the other day. So if you don't have this card at 4 of, just get it. Who's to say how meta relevant it'll be for the rest of 2026 as we move into 2026? But I mean, it's certainly meta relevant right now. So going forward, another card I think you should get is this blue Yamato. It's below $1 and it's a highly, highly competitive SR. It's not leader locked to anything. It's just if you have 3 or less life cards. Usually a card like this, I'm used to seeing if your leader's multicolored. It's 5/6 with counter, and then you draw 2. That would already be amazing. Giving the Rusted Dawn is super good. The 3 or less life ends up becoming a pretty easy condition to fulfill, considering a lot of leaders are 4 life, multicolor leaders. Either way, obviously it's a strong card. It's really cheap right now because OP13 just came out and a lot of OP13 has been open. But if you don't have 4 of this card, maybe you haven't been playing Ace in OP13, you're playing Emu, if you see this card in the wild, you should absolutely get this card while you can. Before, this time next year, let's say OP17, this SR will definitely not be $1. It's going to be super playable. It's block 4. It's going to have its time in the meta multiple times between now and the future. So definitely get this card. Next up is going to be Kuma, moving on to yellow. I'm sure everyone knows about this card, but I see this card hitting even more heights. This card is not being bought out a lot because it's not a very collectible card, but it's a very meta card. If you want to hold out for PRBO3, you're gonna have to wait a long time, unless there's another Learn Together set, which I kind of doubt that would have this card in it. This card's not going down anytime soon. In my experience, when an SEC hits extreme meta heights like this card has, specifically because of how strong it is, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future this card is $50. As we move into OP14, whatever deck people decide that is the consensus best or the one that people want to play the most, that is going to determine the price of a lot of these cards. And if it's Boa or Blue Yellow Nami, this Kuma is going to be an outrageous price. So as time goes on, as we get further away from OP12, this card's going to be expensive. OP12 is still currently being stocked, so that just kind of gives you a perspective on the price of this card. You can still go out and buy OP12 for retail or even below retail. But yeah, if you don't have this card, definitely your place of this card. Moving up next is this Bonney SR. Kind of goes the same as Yamato. It's from OP13. It's a SR below $1, so you should absolutely get a place of this card. But on top of that, it's extremely strong. It's arguably stronger than the Yamato. It's a brick that's a 9/10, which is super strong, but it having a trigger that is could be game saving. If you have 1 or less side cards, rest a character with 7 or less. This could potentially, this trigger is pretty negligible. This card would be good without the trigger. Trigger is what I like to see as like a bonus. But on play, if your leader's the Egghead type, this character gains rush, then your opponent takes a life. Now, what makes this card like insane is like, let's say your opponent's at 1 life, make them take a life, and then you could just swing 10. Regardless, imagine looping these. We haven't been able to really imagine that because there hasn't been a good Egghead leader, but they're pushing 2 Egghead leaders, and that's why I'd say you get this card. The next leader to come out for this game is going to be a mono yellow Luffy Leader. Who's to say whether a leader's good or not? I'll leave you to your own devices whether you want to believe that leader will be good or not. Some people might think it might be top tier, some people might think it might be a bust. Same goes for the EBO4 red yellow Bonney Leader that's coming out. But what I can tell you is that those decks are most likely going to use this card. So below $1 is an insanely good price for this card. Try to find a seller as, maybe multiple, like this guy. Save yourself some shipping, and you're going to be making yourself a good purchase. I honestly believe in that new Luffy leader. I think he definitely has a chance to be meta. Regardless, Egghead is clearly a theme they're pushing. Something I would say to be mindful of, especially when we're talking about like a market watch type of trying to predict the future, is let's say this next Luffy leader comes out and isn't great. Let's say it's pretty mid tier. Who's to say in OP15 or OP16 there isn't some new yellow card that helps give that leader what it needs to be pushed over the edge? A good example would be Kuma. Obviously, Kuma is a really, really good yellow card that makes yellow decks a lot better. For example, when Kuma came out and made the yellow kid deck a lot better. OP15 can definitely have a yellow card that makes the new Luffy Star Deck leader extremely good, or makes the OP14 Bonney Leader really good. And if so, then you can see a significant rise in this card. You definitely want to get this card now while it's fresh, considering how fresh OP13 is. It's going to be below $1. But let this set become old and this card become meta, you're going to be regretting you didn't purchase it. A better example of this is this Lilith. This card is nowhere as good as that Bonney, but it's a little bit older, so it's creeping up to like $2-3 now. It's a pretty good card. It's a 3/5, which is a solid stat line searcher. Look at 5 cards in your deck. Take an Egghead type card, add to your hand. Like I've been telling you, Egghead is a theme that's being pushed heavily right now. The theme of EBO4 is going to be Egghead, and we haven't seen what the yellow support is looking like. Um, but the trigger, not so playable. If your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. This card's getting kind of power crept by the Sanji that's going to be in the Luffy Star deck. But I would consider just getting yourself a playset of this card while you can. Who's to say that the Vegapunk leader won't be good in the future? It has some good like Vegapunk kind of locked cards that are more than just Egghead locked. And the more that yellow and Egghead in general as a theme gets pushed, cards like this I can see making a good rise. So I would definitely get this Lilith SR while you can. Same goes for this Frankie. Now this Frankie, unlike the Lilith, is more adaptable. It's even more adaptable than the Bonney. It's a decent yellow 2K. It's not a lot of people's first choice. It might be a card like Satori. But in terms of the future, this Frankie is Straw Hat Crew, so he is a searchable 2K, which is one of the most important requirements when you're building a deck. Say you have solid searchable 2Ks, ideally the best ones you can find. And this Frankie is one of the few yellow Egghead, Straw Hat, searchable 2Ks. It's one of the few Egghead 2Ks or yellow Straw Hat 2Ks. It just meets a very unique condition, and its trigger is pretty decent. It's draw one, so it's a not bad trigger. But if you have one or less life, it's draw one, play this card. So you're plus oneing. Normally, when you activate trigger, that's a card that was going to go to hand, and now it goes to trash or the field. But this card lets you draw and then use a trigger, which kind of like the OP14 Boa Leader ability. It kind of defeats the negative downside of a trigger, which is that you're losing a potential card out of hand. So that's kind of me over explaining this trigger. But in general, this is one of the only searchable Straw Hat Egghead 2Ks. So I would think about getting this card for sure if you don't already have it. It's a rare. I think if you open a booster box, you're gonna get maybe between 1 to 3 of these. So something to consider. Next up is this Bonney SR. This is an extreme price, and I can only assume it's to go with the red yellow Egghead Bonney Leader because it's also Bonney Pirates. It's Egghead. Trigger is pretty good. Draw two, trash one. That's an amazing trigger. Um, and then Dawn times one. When a card is removed from your opponent's life, draw 2 cards and trash one from your hand. So you do the trigger. What's really good about this is it synergizes with a lot of cards that are out that weren't out when this card came out, like 8 cost Kid. If this is on the field and you play the 9 cost Bonney that I just went over, your opponent takes a life. This Bonney will allow you to draw 2, trash one. And then this Dawn times one, since you're kind of forcing it, will allow you to be a 3/5. Something to even consider on top of that is if we look at OP13, just pull this up here. I was trying to go a little bit more into this, but all these yellow cards have the potential to make this leader good. This leader isn't amazing, but it definitely has the potential to be good. It being yellow and Egghead. Um, there's OP15 cards, there's EVO4 cards that can easily make this leader better. I believe even some of the Straw Hat Luffy starter deck cards that are coming out in January, the yellow Luffy Leader, if you don't know what I'm talking about, can have some cards that might make this leader better. So overall, if we're just looking at, yellow Egghead potential, this is a pretty good SR. Because of that, this card is pretty expensive. I'm gonna be completely honest, this seems overpriced. I would tell you to hope it goes down. I could see this card going down. I would get it around this $2 to $3 mark. But man, $4 yesterday. A lot are selling every day. $7. Average day sold is 25. So definitely try to catch this card. I'd say a good deal is something like this. This guy has one sale, so it's risky. Here's a better one. It's 420 plus $1.30 shipping, but if you get your playset from this guy, you're saving about $3.90. So you're saving like $4 on shipping, which is pretty good. You only pay shipping once. So if you're avoiding shipping or getting this at around a decent price, definitely get this SR where you can. It's impossible to predict the meta, but as we're going into some of these min rarity market watch videos, you kind of just want to prepare yourself for whatever the future meta can be. Uh, Next up, gonna be this Nami SR. This kind of goes the same with the Frankie in the previous card. It's a SR from the same set as the Bonney we're just looking at, but it's around $7. This card has pretty much always hovered around this price in its life. Although it says this here, yeah, I've seen this card be $8, $7 in the past, plenty of times, and it spikes. It's had its limelight in a plethora of yellow decks. Its trigger, allowing you to KO a 5, is just insanely good. I mean, if you, some there's games where if you hit this on your first life, it could be such a tempo swing that you're just it feels like you won the game already. It's always been a pretty decent card. 1K counter, so it's not brick. This on play, you trash something, but if you play it right, you can pretty much go neutral because you'll draw a card if you have three or less in your hand. If you play this at 5 in hand, this goes to the board. You're at 4 in hand. You trash the trigger. You go to 3 in hand. So as long as you just keep your hand at 5, which is not hard to do, especially if you trigger it, uh, this on play is just really good. And part of the spike in this card's price is a speculation that will be used in the yellow Egghead Luffy Leader, being Egghead and Straw Hat and decent. There's obviously a plethora of other leaders that this card could be splashing. I don't want to be a dead horse, but the mono yellow Bonney Leader, the red yellow Bonney Leader, the Vegapunk Leader, some OP15 Sky Island yellow leader. So there goes that. This Stussy is incredibly cheap. Egghead, yellow. It's not the best card in the world because it's a brick and it's 7/7. 7/7 is not a stat line you want to see when Bandai's printing cards that are like 7/9, but it's a blocker that spams the body. Now, one of the worst things about this card is it plays a card from hand. If this card played a card from trash, it would be one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion. But it playing a card from hand, you're gonna lose this and the card from hand. You're like -2 in hand. But you do get a blocker. And let's say you play that Nami that we just went over. You're playing a 5 cost from hand. You could potentially draw one, but then you'd have to trash. You'd be losing. It's complicated math, but the point I want to make is that this card's below $1, and it's below 50 cents. So you should just go get a place of this card. I don't really see any decks running this card in the near future, but who's to say? I can foresee a world where this card is definitely good enough to be used. And so if it is, and it's below 50 cents, if you don't have a playset, go get one. Next up is this Enel. This Enel is super cheap. It's super cheap. I've seen it be higher multiple times. And the reason why it's cheap is because it's a leader locked to Sky Island, and there are only 2 Sky Island leaders in the game right now. They both suck right now. But it is confirmed with 1,000% that OP15's theme is Sky Island. Now, it's not 100% that will be a Sky Island yellow leader, but if it is Sky Island in yellow, this card will be played in it. If there ever exists a yellow Sky Island leader, this card will always be played in it. Not only is it a gorgeous looking card, its effect is amazing. It's a 10/11 with a rush, but if you do its when attacking, it's a 10/12 for your turn with a rush. It's when attacking, allows you to trash one, gain a life, so it's just Kuma, but every turn. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Um, Now, considering this card just normally has been well above this price, something I would also consider is by the time OP15 comes out, we're looking at sometime in the spring next year for US. EBO2 will be close to a year old. Now, we saw what SRs from OP8 can do once they're a year old. This set was extremely short printed. Everyone wanted their hands on it. And if this is a meta card from an EBO2 set that's a year old, this card is going to be $20 as SR, if not more. What I would compare it to would be Sanji and Pudding, which was like $15, $17. But that was when EBO2 was recent and it was only in one deck. If this is in an extremely meta deck in OP15, let's say a purple yellow Straw Hat Sky Island leader, just throwing something at the wall. Let's say it's a Nolan leader, a Sky Island Nolan leader, or let's say it's a yellow whatever multicolor yellow Wiper leader, right? Um, Regardless, this card can hit an insanely high price. You should just play it safe and get yourself a playset while you can, because all it takes is a few announcements. We're getting announcements for EVO4 right now. After that, Japan will start getting announcements for OP15. I would say like maybe a month and a half from now, we might start getting OP15 leaks. Once that happens, the moment a yellow Sky Island leader is announced, this card's going to shoot up overnight. Let it have a good leader ability. This card's going to shoot up overnight, and people will be flabbergasted. So this is probably, I'd say, the most urgent card I would get right now if you don't have your a playset for yourself. It's block 3, so it's going to last a while. And yeah, I'm honestly ranting about this card, but I can't say enough good things about this card. Going back to EBO2, card I want to talk about this is Brook. So OP15, it's pretty much confirmed that one of the leaders is going to be a Straw Hat leader. It was like heavily implied that was going to be Brook or Frankie. Now, if I had to hedge a bet, I would say it's going to be Brook because it's confirmed that I might as well pull this up. Bandai, they come out with sets of sleeves. And if you frequently shop a Bandai store, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'll just pull it up right now. Let's just look at this is OP14s, but we can just look at this one. These are the set of sleeves that came out with OP13. This came out I want to say the week of or the week before OP13 came out. Let's see the sleeves. Roger, Luffy, Emu, and Sabo. What a coincidence. You would almost say these go along with the OP13 leaders, which you would be right to say so. If we look at some of the other sleeves, I could just tell you what set they came out with just by looking at the sleeves. This one came out with OP12. Kuzan, Zoro, Rosinante, Boa. Boa's pretty out of place, but overall, these sleeves can be a good indicator of what some of the future leaders can be. And the sleeves that seem to be coming out with OP15 and seem to be Brook. So with that being said, it was heavily implied one of the new OP15 leaders will be Brook or Frankie. It seems like it might be Brook, which if it's a black Brook, it's possible it might have some type of Laboon or Brook engine. I'm like highly skeptical, but these cards are really cheap. This is a rare from EBO2. You might say, oh, it's just a rare. It being from EBO2 means that if there's a good Brook leader and it uses this card can hit a high price. It's insanely cheap. You could get, 8 right here for a couple cents. So probably cost you like $2-3. So go ahead and pick yourself up a playset of this card, and I would get this card to go with it. If you've been playing this game for a while, you've seen this Laboon SR hit 30 to $40 pretty easily. Maybe we can spot it here. Oh, this is the reprint. But it was reprint in Pure B, so it went down a lot. Removal's not very strong. Obviously, like, it's too much to speculate on what a leader ability might be. But if there's a Brook leader, I would like him to use these cards. But there's no guarantee. Bandai's being pretty weird with the recent black leaders. If we look at like Crocodile and excuse me, if we look at Crocodile and Sabo and some of these other leaders, they've had interesting black abilities. Koala. But I would just play safe and get these cards while you're at it, especially if you aren't aware of them. Another card I would suggest to get is Bonney. This is from Pure BO2. Pure BO2 introduced a bunch of new cards. If you watch a lot of One Piece videos, you've probably heard about this 1,000 times. But if you haven't, you should go do your research and grab a playset of every new card from Pure BO2. But this Bonney, I think, is kind of undervalued. It goes along with the Bonney Leader, obviously. That leader's been good forever. Its leader ability is just innately good, and it just gives it the ability to abuse any good green card that's out. I would definitely get yourself a place of this card for the far future if you don't already have one. Going up next is this Bonney. I've been screaming to the moon that people should be getting this card's alt for a while now. It was like $6. You should also get the SR. It's from 500 years in the future. As we were just looking, let's see if we could find it. I swear we were just looking at it. This Lilith. The Bonney we're looking at has no business being less than Lilith. The Stussy's expensive SR. This card is a really good SR. It's seen its time in the meta a lot of times as a tech card. I've seen it in the new Mihawk Leader. I've definitely seen it in Bonney Leaders. It has a very niche ability that interacts very well with the current meta, which is you can on play rest opponent's rested Dawn will not become active. So you can pretty much hold your opponent hostage at 9 Dawn. That is really effective against a lot of decks right now. For example, one of the new Mihawk Leader's strongest play is to play Law and Bepo, which costs 10 Dawn. If you freeze the rest of Dawn, they just can't play 10 costs. If you know you're playing against any red deck, for example, Ace, let's say you go to 0 life, unfortunately, you can play this, keep one of their Dawn frozen, and your opponent is just forbidden from playing Roger. You could play this on 7 Dawn and stop Ace from playing I Am Whitebeard. And he's cheating out Whitebeard on 8. This card's ability to freeze Arrested Dawn has a very niche interaction in this meta and future metas, and I can see this card being a somewhat expensive SR in terms of SRs go. I could definitely see hitting $3-4 in the future, depending on how the metas are going to shake up. But this is such a strong card that has strong interactions. I've seen this card win a lot of games, and I'd say it's honestly very underrated. There's not many cards in the game that can keep an opponent's Dawn frozen. Uh, there are some other ones, but this is easily the best one. Next up is this Perona. This is actually one of the cheapest it's been in a while. I saw it push almost $10 recently. Seems like a lot got listed. Below 7 is an amazing price for this card. Mihawk is about to come out, and he's definitely going to abuse this card. Uh, it being able to search any slash card or and a green event is just really, really, really good. It has unique Perona art. Overall, this SR has been expensive since it came out, and I would suggest the older OP12 gets, the harder it is going to be to get this card. You should definitely get this card at this price. SRs can hit pretty disgusting prices. As we were looking at two legends, that Nami Egghead SR is hovering around like almost $8. This card can easily do that, and I don't want to like this card will be much, much more expensive once Legacy of the Masters out of print. Right now, you can still go pick it up at a store, thankfully, but this card can definitely do numbers. It'll probably get reprinted in Pure BO3, but this is one of the most in-demand SRs in the game, I would say. And it seems like they're going to consistently be printing green slash layers. Who's to say for OP15 and whatnot, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's future decks that use this card. Going up next is Dead Man's Game. I've seen this card be pretty expensive. So as you saw, it was just 75 cents. That was the tab I had open from this morning. It's $1.50. And I would have screamed from the rooftops to buy it. Why? The average daily sold was 71. What this card reminds me of, if you've been playing this game for a while, is Uso Hachi. Obviously that card is locked to starter deck, but that card used to sell like 80 copies a day. And there gets to the point where a card is selling so much. Total sold 6,000. Wow. Um, so like 339, and that's not even the highest. I guarantee I could find higher than the 339 here if I scroll a little bit. By the way, this is not counting shipping, right? So if you're buying one copy, 225 plus $1 shipping, you're paying like almost $4. Okay. I can't find one. There's some $3 here. It's hard to get past December, but like 399. Um, it's going to be an ebb and flow where every day a lot are going to be bought, and it's going to go to like page 3 or something. 50 get bought right now, and then suddenly we're here, right? Uh, what I'm trying to say though is that you should give yourself a place of this card with the utmost urgency. It's extremely strong, and it's not leader lock, and it's used in pretty much every green deck in the game. Um, like I said, a rare event like this, I believe you're really going to get like on average 2 per box. And not a lot of people are opening Legacy of the Master. And unfortunately, I can say with certainty that a lot of this copies of this card have just been thrown away. If you're someone who buys like a lot of product and you have a lot of bulk, let's say you're opening packs at locals just wrapped up, you get 1 pack for participation, you chase an SP, realize you pulled nothing, you pulled a leader pack, you just leave your cards at the table. You give it to someone, you throw it in the trash. I've seen it a lot of times. I've seen this card in the trash a lot. But this card's really good. It's block 3. This card is going to be meta for a very long time. Like a very, very, very long time. This time next year, this card will be played in the meta. In whatever green deck is meta at that time. That's just the truth of it. Now, it could get printed in PRBO3. I wouldn't be shocked. But regardless, this time, like, and this come next spring, let's say March or April, this is gonna be an expensive card. Expensive for a rare, that is. It's not gonna be like $10 or anything, but you do not want to find yourself saying, "Oh, I want to play X green leader," this is random green leader. Realize you need 4 of this card, and it's 450 plus $1 shipping. It's I doubt it's gonna hit that. One of the things that's keeping it steady is Legacy of the Masters still in print. I was able to buy some today at the Bandai store, but I would just keep your eye on this card. I would keep a steady eye on this card and make sure you place it now. There's no reason not to. It's such a good green card. Next up is Lawn Bepo, 349 this morning. Okay, so not being sold as much as Dead Man's Game, clearly, but this is a pretty good price for this card. If the starter deck is about $12 retail, you're getting 2 copies of this per starter deck. This is a solid price. I can see this card going up. Uh, Definitely was a little bit higher when everyone was high on Mihawk. It seems like the community has kind of cooled their opinions on Mihawk. There was like a 2-week period where everyone was screaming from the rooftops that he's the best deck. And after a couple of Japan CSs, people seem to have cooled their opinion on Mihawk. Regardless, though, this guy's gatekeeping the price for sure. Um, Regardless, by the way, I've seen these guys with 100 sell out. I've seen it, and the card just stampedes past this price. Um, what I was gonna say is, it seems like Mihawk isn't too prevalent right now in everyone's mind, but all it takes is for Mihawk to come up for us. He becomes really, really strong. He's winning some tournaments here and there, and everyone needs this card. Something I will say to keep in mind is that a lot of people are low on Mihawk right now, or not as high as they are in some other decks, because of Japan results. But something to keep in mind is Japan has access to EVO3. When OP14 comes out, we will not have access to EVO3. What that means is that their meta is slightly different. Basically, any of the OP14 leaders that are meta that use EVO3 cards are not going to be as meta for us. A good example is if the winning Boa lists are using the EBO3 Nami, who's to say it'll be as strong without the EBO3 Nami? With that being said, it might make Mihawk slightly stronger. That's just a little bit small piece of information to consider. Although, regardless, $4 is a good price to get this card. What I would compare this card the most to, this is from starter deck Bonney, right? Is this Uta. See if I can find it fast. This Uta here, $6 plus $2 shipping. And if we just scroll past that, $7 shipping, that's $8.40. This is pretty expensive. The Long Beppo and Uta are both SRs that were 2 of. This is from Stardeck Shanks. This is from Stardeck Bonney. These starters came out together, and they're pretty much starting to creep out of print. Same like the Dofi starter deck. They came with an OP11 pack in them. I would just keep your eye on this card. The Uta is much more splashable, but this is a card you definitely want to play Sev now before we get later. A card that I just want to bring up because it might not be on a lot of people's mind is that this Nami. So it's gone down from this morning, but it's one lister. I think this guy's trying to get some quick money, and then we're back up to $4, and we're at $5. It's a rare, but it's from EBO2. So that's the premium for EBO2. I'm guessing it's also a Nami. It's one of the few Nami cards with, I believe, the Arlong Pirates logo on her, which is cool or whatever. It's East Blue Nami. This isn't like the most collectible card in the world. If I'm being fully transparent, I can't tell you why this card is this expensive. It probably shouldn't be this expensive. It's not the most collectible card, but a part of it is there's a Nami tax, but there's also EVO2 tax. So keep that in mind when looking at that Enel. That if this rare can hit $4 or $5 consistently, what do you think that Enel can do? The average daily sold is 22, and like $5 here, $5, pretty much five, 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 and this isn't counting shipping. It's consistently selling for $5 as a rare. That is mind-boggling. If you can foresee a good green straw hat crew leader in the future, I 1,000% can. Between now and the next like 3 years, you are gonna need a place of this card if it doesn't get reprinted in Pure B3. If a good green straw leader comes out anytime soon, people are gonna be in trouble when it comes to getting this card because this card is not meta right now. So go check if you have a place of this card. If you don't, I would suggest getting one now before later because it's a card to keep your eye on. Uh, I just looked at it one day and it blew my mind. It was $5. I wouldn't be surprised if we look up a couple months from now and this card's even higher for some odd reason. So something to keep your eye on for sure. Next up is Kidding Killer. This is from the same starter deck and it's much cheaper than the Law and Bepo, but you only get two of. Green Supernovas is one of the most classic archetypes in the game, and this card's pretty good. This on your opponent's attack, you may trash this card to set it on active. It's becoming one of the most underrated abilities in the game that we've ever had because there's an abundance of counter events. If you're in tune with what a lot of people who play the game talk about, it seems like there's been almost a power creep of events. And so being able to set this one on active makes it a really good searcher. Right now, it seems like some of the best searchers in the game have a second ability for looking at like EZO and stuff like that. So this card's an SR from a star deck that is starting to become old. You only get two of. A good card to compare to is the Boa. That Boa at the start of the video used to be a very, very, very cheap card once it wasn't too meta relevant, and the star deck became old. You don't want to wait a long time to get 4 copies of this card, because you'll be upset you didn't get it for $1. You can easily get it for $1, especially with these sellers that have multiple copies. You could definitely save yourself some shipping. So definitely scoop up this card. Same thing for the Uta. Next up is Kidding Killer. This card was not reprinted in Pure VO2. It's one of the only EVO1 cards that hasn't been reprinted, but it got reprinted as some regional participation in a Learn Together set. So it's made the price go down a lot. Now, one of the other forgiving things about this card is that it's not meta right now. But if you've played this game long enough, you've seen this card come in and out of the meta multiple times. It's like a regular seasonal activity. So I would definitely get like 2 or 3 copies of this card if you really wanted to. Super good card. Super good card to have. Next up is Ben Beckman. I think this card is super underrated uh, just for how good it is. The 7/7 1K counter with a broken on play. This pretty much answers almost every, like, a lot of 6 Dawn cards in the game. And for the cards that it doesn't, it's going to synergize really well with the EVO4 Bonney Leader, which is a red yellow leader. It has an activate main that is a free -1,000 to your opponent, which is one of the things this card is desperately needed. Is a leader that can consistently -1. Some of the leaders in the past, like Marco, you need a Dawn attached. So if you haven't already set up that Dawn attachment a long time ago, you can't play him on curve on 7 Dawn. Shanks, for example, doesn't have the free -1,000, so you're stuck at 6,000 unless you're setting it up with a Hongo or something, which takes a lot of work. The red yellow Bonnie being able to hit 7K, trashing it, I think is super underrated. This trash effect has always been really good, but it's becoming even uh just like more powerful in the recent sets because there's such an abundance of cards that have on KO abilities. Like Marco, for example, the Boa Leader uh, has its leader ability relies on your opponent KOing your stuff. So this being able to just trash stuff, I think is going to make, if the red yellow Bonney Leader in EVO4 is relevant at all, it's going to be using this card. It's an SR that is reprinted Pure BO2 extremely, supremely cheap. Definitely get a place of this card if you don't have it. Same thing for this dragon. Similar reprint, Pure VO2. This is one of the best red cards they've ever printed. I've scoured the game looking at so many red cards, and there's so many that just don't compare to this. Before this card is reprinted, I've seen it hit like $8, $10. Um, this is the reprint, so it's not going to show it, but definitely give yourself a place of this card. I think a lot of people are overlooking it. Next up is this Nami. It's you get 4 of this in the starter deck, and it's at $5. The starter deck's pretty old now. And so is this Nami. Hasn't got reprinted recently, from what I can recall. From what I can find, aside from a demo deck, which I don't think anyone wants, this is the cheapest version of this card. Now, why is this card important? Just like the green Nami, there's always going to be Straw Hat Leaders being printed and good Straw Hat Leaders being printed. That's a given. What's unique about this card is since it had a manga, it received like a special. I'm sure a lot of people know this already, but it received like a special, I guess, privilege that all the mangas are getting, which is their block number is irrelevant. Bandai pretty much came out and said they will never rotate this card out. It will never be rotated out of block rotation. Its block number might as well be infinite, which means that this card will always be relevant. Um, I would assume they're going to reprint this card in the future at some point because its block numbers like that. But who's to say when? I mean, there's still several Mon cards that have never been reprinted, like their base rarity. Uh, Straw Hat Crew Searcher is super good. Also, it's because it's an older card. It doesn't have any like conditionals aside from searching Nami. For example, it can search 1 cost. It could search events. A lot of searches will say search 1 Straw Hat Crew character. This says just card. So it could search like a stage, etc. Regardless, um, you need a place of this card if you want to play this game long term. I think that's just evident. It's just whether deciding if you want to hope on a reprint or not. The longer it takes for a reprint to happen, the crazier this price gets. I also think this card is a really nice alt. I've seen it in person, it has a lot of foil on it, so definitely keep your eye on this card. And that is going to conclude the Min Rarity Market Watch for this week. So I'll be uploading a higher rarity market watch and maybe some collecting market watch in the future. But aside from that, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe.